Hey boys and girls, Squee913 here, and welcome to the answer section of Ask Questions About Squeeper. A quick disclaimer, first, if you're finding this on the playlist, this is not the first episode of the actual Let's Play. That's the next episode, episode 3. I know you're like, what the hell? But, this is more for me than for you. Since I'm going to be role-playing Squeeper and trying to play in the best of my abilities what he would do, I feel it's easier and simpler if Squeeper is a flushed-out character, if he's more of a full character. So I had the viewers ask a whole bunch of questions about his personality and would he do this or that in this situation, and this video is answering those questions, because every time I have to come up with an answer for those questions, it helps flesh out Squeeper and make him a more full-grown person. That way it's easier for me to make decisions for any situations I come across. So, if you're not interested in that, just skip on to the next episode, where you'll get a pretty detailed explanation of who Squeeper is anyway and what I'm intending to do with the LP. But if you do want to know all the ins and outs of Squeeper's personality and kind of see the development process, then have fun watching this one. Alright? Okay, so, now with that out of the way, I know I was going to give you guys like a week to post questions before I did this answer segment, but I posted it yesterday and I have like 96 comments. I think that's fine. I don't, and some comments have like multiple questions. So I figured I'd go ahead and stop now so that I can answer all the questions, and I'm sure this is plenty for the exercise. And then, yeah, and then we'll get straight into the LP. I'm just so everyone knows, I'm planning on releasing about an hour a week. I've already done several hours, which should be known before you read this, because I'm already several hours into the Let's Play. So if a lot of questions, if I go, oh, well, that happens, but you'll just have to find out. That's because it happened, and you'll just have to find out. But no, this week I'll actually release an hour and a half because it's the first week, you know, like the season premiere, catch an extra half hour, blah, 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 blah. But other than that, I'm going to try and release an hour a week. So, yeah, good times. Alright, so what do we know so far? Squeeper was born to a noble family back in Valenwood. His parents died when he was very young, after he received all of the education a noble should get on how to be eloquent and talk and be a charmer, etc., etc., etc. And after he developed a taste for fancy clothes and stuff, and then his parents died, and he was taken in by the Thieves Guild and taught how to be a thief, where he excelled. However, he didn't really fit with the ideals of the Thieves Guild there because they wanted money, and he just really enjoyed the challenge. He likes helping out those less fortunate than him. It's deeply ingrained in him. He'll always leave presents and gold and stuff for the homeless, etc., etc., etc. So, why don't we, in my typical unorganized fashion, just go down the list of comments and start answering them, yes? Yes, let's get into this. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly go up the list here. I don't know, this is in no particular order, and the first several are something about furry animal things. I'm gonna skip all of that because they aren't questions, but more of a debate. So, good God, how long are you guys talking about this? Let it go. Let it go. Alright, let's go with this one. And if I butcher your names, I apologize, but expect it. Alright, Chokol8215 says lack of robot hate. There's no robots in Oblivion as far as I understand, so yes. And just so everyone knows, I don't generally carry personalities of characters from one LP to another. You know, Eagle Claw is different from Spiffy McSquee, is different from Shepherd, is different from everyone. So, which leads us to the next question. Hey Squee, is there a major difference between Squeeper and Spiffy McSquee? Yes, there is a very big difference. Spiffy McSquee is a much more darker character, and much more anti-hero is. He's had a much harder life. Spiffy likes to hunt down conflict, and Squeeper would much rather avoid it altogether. And I would say when Spiffy is usually very serious and solemn, even though I wasn't, Squeeper loves to laugh and joke and smile. So, yes, very, very different. Next question. If Squeeper is faced with a dilemma, say serious self-harm to save a friend or death of the friend, which would he choose? He would definitely choose serious self-harm to himself. It should be mentioned that Squeeper doesn't really understand friendship that well. The only companions he really had were his parents when he was young. He didn't have a lot of friends growing up, and he never really considered anyone in the Thieves Guild a friend because they were too different. So Squeeper is really been alone most of his life, and he's not really... Friendship's definitely going to be a theme discussed in the LP. So, alright, and that was asked by Squeeper Anthem. And actually, the difference between Major Squeeper and Spiffy, if I didn't mention it, was Jabbergoria 13. So, Donnie1543 asked, what's Squeeper's favorite type of weapon? The blackjack. Knocks people out, doesn't kill them. Hands down. Maybe the gas arrow. Same thing. Knocks people out, doesn't kill them. His tongue, his wit, I would say, would be his favorite weapon of all. Okay, Potsy990 asks, Squeeper sees a man steal food. The man looks poor and driven to steal that. What will Squeeper do? Will he turn the man in? Will he ignore it? Or will he even help him out by giving him some coins and food? Squeeper will offer to steal it for him. And then don't be surprised if that homeless guy goes back to wherever he's staying and finds a whole bunch more full of food, or, you know, a whole bag full of food. Etc., etc. That's what Squeeper loves to do, so that's pretty simple question to answer there. Let's see, what else we got here? Membin15 says, what are Squeeper's goals? What is he planning on doing other than just wandering around? Well, you'd have to watch the LP for that, but the short end of the story is he wants to go to every single city and pull off the perfect heist from every castle and keep. So that's the short end of it. Alright. Splox5 says, if Squeeper had to choose between saving a close friend or saving someone whom he is responsible, who was his responsibility to protect, which person would he rescue? Well, that's kind of vague, isn't it? Because it all depends. Does he like the person he's responsible to protect? Is it an innocent child? Is it a murder? It all depends. That's kind of too vague to answer correctly. But considering the fact that Squeeper still has never really had a friend, that's a difficult question for him to answer, and he doesn't like responsibility, so he personally would rather not be in the position where he's responsible for protecting anyone. So I would say between the two, he'd probably save the close friend, but he doesn't necessarily know what that even means. So, alright, I think another question from Chockle8215. Does Squeeper have kleptomania, or does he simply steal for the good of the people? I am more asking if his donations are a byproduct of his thievery or the cause. That's a really good question and a hard one to answer. First of all, he doesn't have kleptomania. He doesn't steal just because he needs to steal. You know, he can walk through a store without palming a knife or something. But he does love to steal. He loves the challenge of it. He's not stealing to help people. He's stealing because he loves the thrill of the hunt, I guess you could say. The challenge of the steal. The feeling he gets when he successfully completes one. He's in it for the passion. Now, that being said, if he didn't steal, he would have found another way to help those less fortunate than him, because that had been driven in him since he was a young kid, that if you have the ability to, you should help these people. That's the right thing to do. Now, he gives them stolen gold and stuff because that's what he's good at. If he was good at, say, you know, being a politician, he would try to help them some other way. So, while it's not the cause of his stealing, it's an underlying goal that would be there no matter what he did. So I hope that answers the question well enough. Alright, CrowGamer002 asked, do you use drugs like skooma? And are you into interspecies relationships? He's not huge on drugs. He's not really against them, but he's just never really been exposed to them. Think like the rich kid from school that just never hung out with that kind of crowd. He knows they exist. He knows they kind of do funky things to you. He doesn't really have any interest in that. He doesn't like drugs or alcohol, especially when he's like on a mission. He'll never use them when on a mission because he doesn't like the idea that his visions and senses could be impaired in any way. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's against them when he's not. You know, like it's not like he'd never go on a drinking binge or anything. He just generally stays away from that stuff. You won't see Squeeper be an alcoholic or anything, but that doesn't mean he won't have a drink now and then. But as far as skooma goes, maybe. Rather than now, he's just never really messed with it. Alright. The Psycho Soul Roof says, wait, that's a dude? Obviously, you haven't seen too many elves in your life. Of course, then neither have I. But yes, typically elves are supposed to have feminine characteristics. Just because the ones in the actual Oblivion games' faces look like someone sent an elf through a sausage grinder doesn't mean that they're not supposed to still look like Squeeper looks like. You know, this is more Legolas and not that little freaky elf thing from Harry Potter. So yes, that is most definitely a dude. Alright, Emo Guys 11 says, would Squeeper kill guards if it were his last chance of survival? Okay, now those are like two completely different things. The guards are trying to kill him and they're attacking him and not letting him surrender or something. Well then, yeah, he's going to do whatever it takes to survive. Most likely he would try to run away. He hates being in a stand-up fight. That's just not the way he is. He doesn't think he's any good in a face-to-face fight. Does he kill guards on a regular basis? No. He believes that guards, even though they're dicks, and he's against them, you know, he's working the other team, they have families, they have children, they're just doing what they feel they need to, and he doesn't want to kill them unless there's no choice. Wow, a whole bunch of numbers. White Tiger says, will he ever try to get revenge on the killers of his parents? You know, no. I'm going to say no, because this LP is not really about his backstory, and he will never find who killed his parents and go revenge, and Squeeper's not really about revenge. I'll get into this more with other questions, but it's not that he would never take revenge on people, but for very specific reasons. I'll get into it later, but the short answer is no. There's not going to be anything having to do with his dead parents and their killer and such. Sorry guys, it's very hot, so I have to drink a lot. Same guy asking, is Squeeper like a Batman Robin Hood or Assassin's Creed type character? I would say more like a Batman Robin Hood. He doesn't like to kill. He's not against it, you know, but he's not actively looking for people to kill. I mean, if, you know, a highwayman tries to rob him and fights him, that's one thing. It should also be mentioned that with the exception of, like, maybe goblins or something, Squeeper has never killed anyone at the start of this LP, ever. So... And when he finally does kill his first person in the LP, there was a good reason for it, and I talk more about it when it actually happens. So, next question. Yes. Macapoo says, or Macafoo, not really sure which. Squeeper is investigating a criminal who is suspected of murdering an entire family. The criminal is proven innocent. Squeeper, still believing he is guilty, decides to investigate further, even though the case is closed, so he can't be arrested. Squeeper finds evidence that proves the criminal guilty. This is the real law in America. Of course, it's double jeopardy. If you've already been proven innocent, you can't be proven guilty no matter what. Does Squeeper take this into his own hands, even if doing so would be illegal? Well, he's never really cared much about legality issues, but, yes or no, it all depends on one thing. Squeeper is not so much out for revenge just to take revenge on people's lives. It's more of a matter of, does Squeeper think it's likely he could do it to someone else? Like I said, Squeeper doesn't want to kill, he doesn't like to kill, but if he believes that this guy who is proven innocent has a good chance of doing this to another person, then yes, Squeeper would do whatever it would take to stop him, even if that includes killing him. If, for whatever reason, he doesn't feel that the guy could ever do it again. Let's say, hypothetically, the guy got his legs cut off or his manhood cut off or something to where, you know, he's not going to do it again, then Squeeper probably would just let it be. He's not out to seek revenge. He's out to, like another good example, let's say a highwayman. Let's say like a highwayman stops him and, you know, would Squeeper kill him or whatnot? Probably not at the moment. He's not going to get into a face-to-face fight. But if he believes that highwayman could potentially hurt someone else, then he might want to do something about it. If he doesn't think so, then he would just let it go. Alright, so next question. Psycho Soul Wolf asks, what is Squeeper's favorite type of meat? I don't know, really. What, venison, I guess? Sure, we'll go with venison. Alright, Phantasmagoria has a couple questions. Does Squeeper get his good looks from his mom or his dad? I would say a mix of both. His eyes from his mom, his ears from his dad. I have no idea. Alright, what is Squeeper's favorite color? Gold. And not because it's the color of gold. Not quite. Kind of. Gold is the color that nobles like to wear. It's the color you wear if you're rich, if you're well off, if you're well to do. And Squeeper really likes that color. He likes to, wear gold lined and embroidered shirts and things like that, for a couple of reasons. One, he just likes the way it looks. He likes how shiny and such. And two, he likes the idea of looking like a noble. So, and three, if Squeeper bought a horse or stole one, what would he name it? Yes, he does have a horse, and yes, I did name it. Should I tell you? Okay, yeah, his name's Artax. And gold star to whoever finds out where that's from, if you do it before he actually gets it in the LP. Alright, so, Macafu asks another question to clarify my last post. Oh, I'm sorry, this is actually in addition to the last post. I know Squeeper does illegal things, but this is a scenario... Okay, so we've already answered this question. Would you kill a killer? Would his god be happy? Alright. Well, this is another good question. Like I already mentioned, it all depends on if Squeeper thinks he would do it to someone else, and then, yes, he would do whatever it takes to stop him. As far as would his god be happy, Squeeper, he's never been very religious. He knows the gods exist. He doesn't try to anger them or anything, but he doesn't have any particular deity he prays to. He knows the good gods. He knows the bad gods. He never steals from a church, but that's more because churches generally are out there trying to do the same thing he is, which is help people who need help. So he has great respect for churches, and in that sense, he kind of has respect for the gods. Like I said, he's not trying to insult them or anything, but you won't see him praying to any for luck or anything. He's just kind of a you live your life, I'll live mine kind of thing when it comes to religion. Alright, Gailey87 says, how would Squeeper feel about breaking the law? Would he rather follow the rules, or does he prefer to take the law into his own hands and not trust the authority? I think I've answered that one fairly well by now. He believes laws are meant to protect citizens, and he's okay with that. He just doesn't think that they necessarily apply to him. Hang on. Now, this being said, he's not an anarchist. He doesn't try to get away with anything and everything he can. No, he just likes to steal. He doesn't assault. He doesn't murder. He pays for his rooms, where he sleeps. If he has the money for a meal, he'll pay for it. He doesn't steal everything and all that. He follows the rules most of the time. It's just when he's stealing that he doesn't really care. Alright, Tion557 says, does Squeeper have any traumas from the past? Not really, other than the fact that his parents died. It's not like some, Bruce Wayne complex. I mean, his parents died, that's really traumatic, but he kind of got adjusted pretty well to that, as well as anyone could. Does Squeeper know how to hunt? Kind of. I mean, he's never really hunted wild game and stuff, but he'd probably be really good at it if he gave it a shot. But he's more of the opinion, why? If I have the gold, I can just go to an inn and buy one that's already cooked and cleaned. Why would I want to go hunt one myself? That's just way too much work. Alright, does Squeeper have many friends as a kid? No. His parents were pretty much his friends, And once they passed away, like I said before, friends is going to be something that's really kind of delved into in the LP, because he's never really had friends other than his parents when he was young. Alright, is Squeeper a social person, or does he like to be alone? He's a very... Okay, this is the oxymoron of Squeeper. He's a very social person. He's a charmer. If he's in a tavern or a bar, he likes to be the life of the crowd. If he walks up to a storekeeper and the storekeeper doesn't like him, he wants to know why. He wants to chat him up and say, hey, come on, get to know me. Let's be friends, kind of thing. But he doesn't really ever see many of them as friends, more just like... He enjoys being the center of attention. And he's a really nice guy, don't get me wrong. But, yeah, he definitely doesn't like to be alone. And it's kind of a weird thing because he doesn't know it. He's been alone for so long. He likes being alone when he's stealing. He likes being independent, but he doesn't really realize it, but he does not like being alone. And that's one thing that the LP will get into. Alright, and does Squeeper wear black or gray underwear? I would say black, because black goes better with gold. I don't know. The game shows brown, but, what does the game know? Alright, Axe the Great 9 says, if Squeeper was put into a situation where he had to let a few innocents, let's say a small family, die to save a friend, what would he do? What would Squeeper do if he had to choose between an innocent family and a friend? Probably go insane. He'd choose the family because it's more people, but I don't think he'd be able to recover from a situation like that. It might destroy his fragile little mind. Alright, Kriana says, if Squeeper could have one superpower, flying, invisibility, etc., what would it be? Why did he choose that superpower? Well, he does have a superpower. It's invisibility. He can go invisible once a day. And why did he choose that? Because he's a thief. Enough said. Alright, Moonshuri asks, I guess Squeeper won't be joining the Dark Brotherhood. That's actually more of a statement than a question, but yeah, you'd be right. He doesn't like guilds at all, in particular, and the Dark Brotherhood least of all. He's not an evil murderer. However, he will have dealings with the Dark Brotherhood. You guys will just have to keep watching to find out. Alright, Claude Rebel asks, does Squeeper prefer to steal a certain type of item? Or to put it another way, what item does he prioritize when stealing? What items does he value and why? What kind of thief is he? Okay, let's answer that first one first. Yes, he steals anything that catches his fancy or anything that's of value to him, which is generally things that sell for lots of gold. However, he has a fascination with magical bubbles. Anything magical, like a magical dagger or a magical armor piece or a magical glowing ball of fire. He's got this fascination with because he doesn't know anything about magic. He doesn't really know how to work. He can't use it himself. So it's kind of like this, ooh, look, it's sparkly. I want that kind of thing. So I would say that he chooses magical items over anything. If he stole a magical item, he had a really good day. He doesn't even care what it does. It's a magical item. Now, he won't keep them all. He'll end up selling lots of them, but he will try and make a collection of magical items. Alright, Claude Rebel also asks, what kind of thief is he? Will he take everything valuable that's not nailed down, or will he take the few valuables and leave the rest? Really, it depends. He doesn't like to, let's say he's stealing from a store owner. He doesn't like to leave them penniless, per se, but when he gets in there, it's a playground. It's like, ooh, it's like shopping market sweep. It's like, ooh, I'll take that. Oh, I'll take that. I'll take one of those. Ooh, I'll take that one. So, while I wouldn't say he's ever cleaned a place dry, he will definitely take most anything not nailed down if he can carry it, because, hey, you know what? They should have nailed it down. Alright, Claude Rebel also asked, how does Squeeper prefer to travel? By foot, by horse? Does he have any great feelings toward magical enchantments? If he has to fight, what weapons does he use? Okay, we already answered the magical enchantments. He loves magically enchanted artifacts of any kind. He much prefers to travel on horse than on foot. He does not like traveling. He's a city boy. Doesn't really like being out in the wild too much, and if he is, he likes to get from one city to the next as quickly as possible to get to the next inn with a comfortable bed. He hates sleeping out in the wild on bedrolls. He just cannot stand it. He's like I said, he's used to comforts. So by horse, mainly because he doesn't have to work as hard, and he usually gets there faster. And if he has to fight, a long sword, I suppose, or a short sword. He really doesn't have a preference for the both. He's, like I said, he's trained in both, so just whichever he can find that does more damage. He does dual wield, though. He uses a short sword in his left hand for defensive purposes, but in his right hand, long blade, short blade, doesn't matter. Whichever does the best damage. Alright. Oblivion66 Gamer asks, what does Squeeper like to do when he's bored and not want to steal? Would that ever happen? I guess something that would improve his skills, like maybe follow guards around without them noticing, just to see if he can do it. Gosh, him not wanting to steal, it's like me not wanting to breathe oxygen. So, what is Squeeper's favorite kind of object? A magical bubble, as stated before. Alright, Crimson Shoddy also said, how did he end up in jail? He didn't, actually. I used a mod called Alternative Start, where he starts on a boat, and not in jail. Alright, Emo Guys 11 asked, is he the kind of guy that could join the Thieves Guild? No, he will be joining no guilds. He's been turned off of guilds from his past. Even if the Thieves Guild here is different, he wouldn't know that, and he would have no reason to think differently. So, he will not be joining the Thieves Guild, as of now. Alright, Michael Bear Jerry says, what does he fear? Well, death, undead things, you know, sharks if you're in the ocean, normal stuff. He doesn't have any phobias, if that's what you're asking. Alright, Aurora Bolt. Would Squeeper use magical weapons and goods in order to achieve his goals? Yes. Exploration of Citadel would yield many of those items. Yeah, he would love magical baubles. 97 Warlord. Where did Squeeper come from? Is Squeeple noble or what? Okay, just watch the introduction, my friend. If he woke up and saw a man in a black robe and a hood, what would he do? Say hello? Alright, Rance Oz asks, what would Squeeper do if he was hit on by a lady? Would you classify him as chaotic good? Alright, there's a whole bunch of questions there. If he was hit on by a lady, okay, Squeeper's like 19 or 20. For elves, that's very young. He's never really considered romance before. He's a virgin. Oh my god! Romance won't be a big part of this LP, so it's not really an important question, but I don't think he'd know what to do. He'd probably charm the pants off of her, literally, because that's his whole thing. He's very witty and charming, but once he got the pants off her, I'm not sure he'd exactly know where to go from there. Alright, would you classify him as chaotic good? Yes, indeed I would. If the world were at risk and Squeeper had to sacrifice his life for the world he loves, would he do it? Without a doubt. Unquestionably, he would. Let's just hope that doesn't have to happen. Alright, TN557 asks, if Squeeper were starving in a forest and he found other travelers, would he steal their food? Yes, as long as it didn't make them starve as well. Zoe87 asks, sorry guys, I just realized it's been like 25 minutes, so I'm trying to go faster. This might have been asked, but will Squeeper avoid combat or just jump right in? He will avoid combat like the plague. He does not like to fight. If he's in a fight, he's done something wrong. He likes to... His idea of a great heist is he gets in and out, and the worst is some people wake up with bumps on their heads. If he has to fight, he likes to kill them before they even know he's there. If he's face-to-face crossing blades, something went horribly wrong. Alright, Mr. Impaler, or Impalers 899 says, if Squeeper found a dying nobleman and he asked him to kill his killer as the dying wish, would he do it? Probably not, unless he really knew that the killer did it and that he would likely do it again. I don't think he'd just take the man's word for it. Yo-Yo Matt 123 says, if he has to choose to kill someone he loves or die, which would he do? He would die, obviously. He wouldn't kill someone he loves. One Man Random says, would Squeeper prefer to hunt for food or buy it? He would buy it. Does he have a stereotype against other races? No. Will he stay in one place for a while? He would love to, but he'll end up moving around because he needs to look for more adventure. He would buy food if he could. He would not hunt if he can avoid it. Alright. Kaguro Draven says, what does Squeeper think of Daedra or Daedric worshippers? He knows they're bad. He doesn't really want anything to do with them. He doesn't have any huge aversion to them, but he's not going to use Daedric artifacts or anything like that just because, you know, they're evil, and he doesn't want to, you know, bad things usually happen when you mess with Daedric artifacts. Now, question is, does he know what's a Daedric artifact or not? Nah, not so much. Some things he just goes, ooh, look, magical item. Alright, so, one Vanguard 1 says, what do you do if you see bandits and they ask for a toll to pass? He would pay the toll because he doesn't want to get into a fight. Now, he would pay the toll and move on. If he thinks that there's a chance they would do that to someone else and possibly hurt them, then he might come back later when they don't expect it and do something about it. Possibly. What would Squeeper do if the city guard would try and apprehend him? He would give up without a fight. He's not going to kill people over his stealing. Hang on. Alright, and most of these other questions have already been asked by Vanguard has already been asked by other people, so... What will he do when he sees the arena? You'll just have to find out, won't you? Alright, Dale Kaskan asks, between humans and non-humans, who would Squeeper help first? He has no preference. He's not really holding one race above another or anything like that. Oh, there was a question I forgot to answer earlier. Is he into interspecies relationships? Like I said, he's really young, doesn't really think about relationships, but I would say that he probably wouldn't be opposed to a relationship with like a human or another type of elf. But like an orc or Argonian or Khajiit, I mean, he just wouldn't really find them attractive per se. He's nothing wrong with being friends with them, but I mean, come on, there's got to be like a physical spark there, and why would there be? I'm just saying. So anyway, unless he's into, you know, weird stuff, which he's not. So Lockman 776. A man is wrong Squeeper in some way. Would Squeeper take revenge? If so, how would he take revenge? Probably, maybe light revenge. Okay, this all depends. It's way vague. I mean, like, what? Did he steal Squeeper's purse? Yeah, then Squeeper would probably steal everything out of his house. But, would, like, Squeeper go kill him? No. But he might, like, get even. Alright, William the Brit asks, alright, here's one that's probably been asked a million times already. Squeeper straight, gay, bisexual, asexual? He's straight, I think. I mean, yeah, he is. So, alright, next question by the DJ Alino. How long does he spend doing his hair and makeup in the morning? Not as long as a lot of girls, but he does care about the way he looks, so he is a bit of a diva when it comes to... Not when he's stealing, when he's on a mission heist type thing, but when he's just around town, he does like to look spiffy, so... Alright, EXODD, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that. Exod, maybe? If the city guard raped a girl, what would Squee do? Well, like I said, it depends. Is there a chance he would do it to someone else? Then Squeeper would probably stop him. Does Squeeper follow? I already asked him that. What's his favorite food? I already answered that. Let's see. 34 Butterfinger says, if holding out with some comrades or of one sort or another and they see a massive enemy wave coming and the soldiers he is with offer to stall the enemy so that he can escape, would he stay and fight or flee to accomplish his comrade's goal posthumously? You know, he might flee. It's not like he's a coward and wants to abandon his friends, but Squeeper doesn't feel he's good in a stand-up fight. You know, he wouldn't feel he's good in a pitched battle. He would be much more effective doing whatever it was they wanted him to do. You know, like eluding the enemy to deliver a message or something like that. That's just more his bag, his thing. So, Exod asked, is he anti-human? Nope, he's not anti-human at all. Singrin asks, how does Squeeper feel about adventuring with a group of people? Never happened, so he has no idea. That's one thing that will be discussed. He doesn't know. He's never had the opportunity before. The Thieves Guild, he would send people on missions with them, but he never really was able to connect with them, so he never really considered them part of a group. Alright, Sir Vegas 100 says, does he like to read? I suppose. Kind of, as much as the next person. And does he like to donate to the poor? Oh, yep. Yes, he does. Alright, Guitar123 Colt says, is Squeeper a flashy hero who surely takes credit? No, actually. He does not like to take credit because he does not like to draw attention to his deeds. He likes to draw attention to himself, but not his deeds. A lot of times when he leaves good golds and stuff for beggars, he tries to do it when they're away or asleep or something like that. He does not like taking credit for that kind of thing. He's not arrogant. Or what? Like, he's an attention hog, but not for those deeds. He's an attention hog, just, you know, likes to be the life of the party kind of thing. Does that make sense? Alright. Moonshuri asks, Squeeper is about to steal from a rich man when he suddenly notices a pair of gleaming eyes from the shadows. He turns around, notices that he is surrounded. Alas, the rich man was trying to steal from has hired the Dark Brotherhood to kill Squeeper. The leader proposes this. Join the Brotherhood and live your life in the name of the Siths, or you and all your loved ones perish. Choose. Yeah, I think he'd rather die than live with the Dark Brotherhood. That just goes against everything he believes. So, killing people for money is just abhorred to him. Alright, Nexus 45 says, one of Squeeper's former guild members who Squeeper liked is about to be hanged for murdery. He was sent to kill Squeeper but failed and accidentally killed an innocent person. Does Squeeper save the guild member or let him die? Well, Squeeper didn't like anyone in the other guild. I mean, it was pretty much unanimous that most of the people in the guild he just did not like. They all cared about money. So, and the guy did try and kill him, so nope, I don't think Squeeper would help that much. He'd probably leave him to his fate. So, Shadowblood the 13th? 14th? Shadowblood the 14th asks, you said Squeeper's a thief and only steals from those who can afford it. Does he only steal from evil people or innocents who can afford it as well? All innocents who can afford it as well. He steals from shop owners and other people as long as it's not going to destroy them. You know what I mean? If he feels they can recover from the theft, then he'll steal from them. Innocent's a very subjective word. Also, would he kill evil people that he sees as evil? Okay, I've already kind of gotten into that. Would you say Squeeper is necessarily good, evil, or something in between? I'd say he's a light shade of gray. And one last thing, is Squeeper one who would actually develop relationships with people? Alright, already covered that. That would be covered in the LP extensively. Alright, Anyway, 655 says, is Squeeper with a witness to a crime and he has to testify for a friend but had business to attend to elsewhere? Would he stay and testify or hurry to his business? He'd stay and testify. No business is more important than a friend. Not that he's really sure what that even means. Wasson Crane asks, what would Squeeper do if an Argonian female that fit him perfectly asked him to marry her? What? Okay, that's kind of a weird question to ask, or a tough one to answer, because, look, I mean, normally I guess Squeeper would believe that love knows no bounds and etc., but he'd be about as attracted to her as I am the Geico Gecko, so I don't know. I don't think so. I think that they have to, at least not look like the scaly lizard. I'm sorry if that sounds mean, but that's just the reality of the world, I believe. Alright, now, don't get me wrong, he would let her down in the nicest way possible, and be friends with her forever, I'm sure. So, alright, warning, Squee 913 has triggered oh, okay, I don't have to read that part. Just, he's going to be creative. Scenario 1, Squeeper is trying to earn allies. I'm sorry, this is Raven Star Killer 47. Squeeper is trying to earn allies in his quest to fight evil. He comes upon a small village and notices a pack of wild animals stalking some children playing outside. Since the villagers appear to be rather poor, he is unsure if there will be a reward for if he aids the children. What will he do next? He'll save the children. Good lord, he doesn't care about rewards. He doesn't want to be given money, legitimately. He just wants to save the children. He's very big into helping innocents. And like I said, he kind of abhors getting money the right way. He feels like he cheated somehow. Alright, scenario 2. Squeeper is in charge of a garrison of foot soldiers as well as a group of thieves. He is defending a city from enemy forces of indefinite size. His elite group of thieves kill an enemy messenger and attack the message, and find a message stating that a large army with nearly 10,000 will be attacked. Okay, you know what? I can stop this scenario right here. Squeeper would immediately find someone better qualified to lead and then go with his group of thieves. Squeeper doesn't know anything about battles or wars or defending cities, and he knows less than the common foot soldier would. He knows how to steal, and that's about it. So he'd go find a foot soldier and have them take over because they'd do a much better job of it. And before you guys say something like, well, there is no one else, he is the best one. No, a common foot soldier, in his opinion, would have a better chance of leading them than he would, so he would find one of them. And if there were none, that would mean it's just him and the city, and he would try to evacuate them as quickly as possible. Alright? So, next one, scenario 3 from Raven Star Killer. Squeeper enters a cave with a companion. Unfortunately, they stumble upon a dragon who is guarding a large treasure. Well, there is no dragons in Oblivion, at least not in this game. Squeeper notices that a high-ranking enemy general... that a high-ranking enemy general with some elite soldiers sneaking up from behind the dragon and stealing the treasure. Gosh, all these interruptions. You'd think I was, recording this at work or something, but that's... that's just crazy, right? Right. Alright, where was I? Yeah, something about, elite soldiers sneaking up behind the dragon and stealing the treasure. You and your companion are knocked off your feet by the blast of fire. The dragon picks them up. What? There's no dragons. Where's the dragons coming from? Do you attempt to save your friend and lose an opportunity to kill the general? Yes, of course. I would try and save my friend from the dragon that doesn't exist. So yes, I would save my friend. A rich thief tells Squeeper to kill 2 innocent people. Nope. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't take the gold for it. He wouldn't kill innocents, no matter what the guy says. Alright, and this is from Faux Fire 22. Another one from the same guy. Is Squeeper a solo guy? Or is he be a summoner and commander of beasts? Or will he simply make many allies? I guess you will have to find out. We're looking for questions about personality, not will he do or won't he do. But he's a solo guy at the start of the LP. Doesn't know much about friendship. Alright, K-Dog Master asks, if Squeeper had snuck into an Evil Lord's manor, how would he do it? That's not really a question of who he is. Just watch the LP and find out. Alright, if I'm going fast over some of these, if they're not questions that really pertain to his personality, like that one, you can watch and you'll get an idea of how he would sneak into a manor's house. So, alright, the Draconic Epic asked, if Squeeper had to choose between saving an elder woman or a pregnant woman, which would he do? He'd probably save the pregnant woman, and then go crazy afterwards, because that would break his fragile little mind. Alright, Bisa 2000, this is beside the point of the video, but you're doing a modded Oblivion, right? Well, I am using about 20 some odd mods, but other than that, nope, it is completely vanilla. Alright, HJK561 asked if Squeeper was in a situation where his rival, so to speak, is kidnapped, and the kidnapper was threatening to kill him, would Squeeper save his rival from mortal danger or leave him to die? What depends? Are we saying rival like, I really like and admire you, but you're my rival because I respect you and I want to beat you type of guy? Or you're my rival because you pantsed me in elementary school? Because that makes all the difference in the world. And I think you can figure out which is for which situation. As Violator 32, a little charming name, that one. How would Squeeper spend his money? I guess you will just have to find out, won't you? Alright, Wat Tambor Fan asks, does he care for his homeland of Valenwood? Would he purposely visit cities closer to Valenwood, like Anvil, Kravach, and Skingrad? No, not really. He doesn't have... I mean, he has the affection of, that's where I grew up, but he's more just excited to be in a new place, He doesn't have, like, a longing or homesickness. Not really. Does he not like a certain race as much? No, he likes everyone pretty much equally. Has no problems. Another one from Ask Violator. A lot of them, like the next several, are from him. Would Squeeper break out of jail or live through his punishment? He would try and break out if he could. He doesn't want to sit in a room and do nothing for months. Would Squeeper ever take revenge? Already answered. Would Squeeper take form or fortune? Answered. Would Squeeper save a person if he did not know him or her? Answered. Yes, basically. Would Squeeper take gold to save another's life? I already answered. Would Squeeper have a horse in the city, or a house in the city, or a house outside the city? House inside the city. He's a city man. Is Squeeper pervasive, or does he buy friendship? Persuasive. He's persuasive. He doesn't like to buy friendship when he can just talk it out of him. What is Squeeper's dream? I already answered. To pull off the perfect heist in every city. And that's the end, folks. If you left a comment, while I was recording this, because God knows it probably happened, I'm sorry. I'll maybe try and answer it in the comments or something. But, so yeah, that's it for now. God, it's 41 minutes. I think that's long enough. So... hopefully that gives you a better idea of who Squeeper is and how he views the world. It definitely gives me a better idea, which was the point of this in the first place. I think I'll be able to roleplay him a lot better now. So I really appreciate it, everyone who participated and asked questions. There were a couple questions that people either PM me or put on my page, but I asked to leave comments below the video, so I didn't ask those. And I think we've asked enough questions, so sorry guys. Next time, leave the comment on the video. Alrighty, hang on. So, yeah, why don't we just go ahead and end this, because you guys have been listening to me talk long enough, and let's go ahead and start the LP, shall we? So, just, next episode, click that little thing and, get started watching the adventure of Squeeper, huh?